founder builds her whole Q4 plan around one number, 45 days. That's her supplier's lead time. It's on the code. It's in her spreadsheet. And then October comes rolling in. Day 50 passes. Nothing. Day 60, nothing. The goods finally land on day 71. So she's furious and calls it a disaster. So we did something nobody's ever done. We looked at her last 8 orders and what did the supplier actually deliver in? 62 days, 58, 65, 70, 55, 68. They never hit 45, not once. The number running her business was a sales pitch from, let's say, I think 2 years ago. And that's today. So welcome back. This is metric number 5, supplier on-time delivery rate. If you're not tracking it, you're flying blind. Here's the formula. Here's what good looks like at your stage. And here's what happens when this number goes red. The formula is stupid simple. On-time deliveries divided by total deliveries. And that's it. They hit the date 8 times out of 10. And that's 80% on time. But there are 2 little rules that make this work. So let's nail them down. Rule number 1, on time compared to what? The date they promised when you placed the order. Not the new date they gave you 3 weeks later after things slipped. Because that's the trick, right? Supplier misses the date, gives you a new date, hits the new date, and suddenly they're on time. No, the promise you planned around is the promise they graded on. Write it down the day you place a PO. That's the actual date. Rule number 2, track a second number next to it. When they miss and by how much. I call it the slip. Late half the time, but only by 2 days. Annoying, but it's fine. Late a quarter of the time by 3 weeks, and that's a business risk. So it's a pair. How often they're late and how bad. And those 2 numbers give you the thing that actually matters, your real lead time. Not the quoted one, not the real one this supplier actually averages over the last 6 or 8 orders. Here's the mindset for this whole episode. The lead time on this quote is not data. That's marketing. It was written by someone trying to win your order. And the real data is actually sitting on your last 8 deliveries. The actual date. And most founders have never looked, not once looked at them side by side. And today that changes. Okay, why does this one actually kill brands? Simple. Everything else where we've covered the season sits on top of this number. Let me walk the actual chain. Start with last week. Stockouts. Your whole reorder system runs on one input, lead time. Reorder point equals lead time plus a buffer times daily sales. Now, watch what happens when the lead time is fiction. You plan on 45, reality is 63. That means every reorder you place is 18 days late. The moment you place it, you did the spreadsheet, you did everything, you stock out anyway on schedule. And you can't figure out why because the math is fine. The input was the lie. Second thing, your cash. Your deposit went out on day 0 either way. So every day they're late is another day your money sits frozen in a factory queue. Instead of turning back into revenue, and that's what we're trying to avoid, right? A late supplier stretches out your cash conversion cycle without telling you. And a few episodes on the season all over again when we're talking about stockouts should definitely come to mind. Except this time, it's not your planning doing it. It's going to be theirs. Third thing, and this one's sneaky, what does a founder do after getting burned by late deliveries? They start padding everything by feel. Order earlier to be safe, order more to be safe. And now look where we are. Extra weeks of inventory, turns dropping, cash frozen, and we're back in the dead stock graveyard from episode 2. One unmeasured supplier problem just became an inventory problem, then a cash problem. It's 3 metrics deep, 1 root cause. Fourth thing, timing. Supplier delays don't spread out evenly across the year. They cluster exactly when you can't afford them. Peak production season, pre-holiday crunch, right after Chinese New Year. When every brand on earth is squeezing the same factories, so the 70 delivery doesn't hit your sleepy April order. It hits the Q4 one. Late goods in July cost you margin. Late goods in October cost you the year. And the fifth thing, the relationship itself. Without data, every conversation you're about lateness is just feelings. You feel like they're always late. They feel like they're mostly fine. And their memory is somehow always better than yours. With data, it's a totally different conversation. Last 8 orders, you average 63 days against a 45-day quote. And the last 3 are getting worse. That's not a complaint, that's a performance review. And suppliers respond to customers who measure them. Because measured customers might leave, and you can prove why. So, season thesis one more time. You're tracking your revenue. You're not tracking whether the most important partner in your supply chain keeps their word, even though every plan you make sits on top of that word that they gave. So how do you track it? So honest warning, this is the least glamorous build of the season. It's also maybe the best return on 10 minutes you'll ever get. So here's the thing. 1 spreadsheet, 1 row per PO, 6 columns. The date you placed the order, the date they promised at order time. Remember that rule. The date it actually landed at your dock or your 3PL. Not the shipment date, the arrival date. And you can't sell things that are on a boat. Then 3 math columns. Quoted lead time, actual lead time, and the slip. Actual minus what was actually promised with you. And that's it. That's the tool. 2 summary cells at the top. Percent of orders on time and actual average lead time over the last 6 to 8 orders. More than one supplier, if you have that, you can have it for 1 tab each. Now, I know the objection, I don't have the old dates. You actually do. The promised dates are in your email or in the PO confirmations. Search your inbox for the order numbers. The arrival dates are in your freight forwarders tracking as well, or your 3PL's receiving log. They timestamp everything when it comes in. 1 afternoon of digging and you'll have a year of supplier truth that's been sitting in your inbox this whole time, unread. Going forward, it's a habit. Whenever you have a new PO, new row. Same day. Promised date goes in immediately. Goods land, actual date goes in. 30 seconds per order, the sheet stays alive forever. 2 upgrades when it's actually running. Upgrade number 1, this is the payoff. Use the real lead time in your planning, not the quote. So you go back to last week's reorder sheet and swap the input. Your real average plus a cushion, plus maybe 2 or 3 days, let's say. Yeah, I like half of their worst recent slip. So quoted 45, and then your real average is, let's say, 63. A worst slip, 26 days. So with that, plan on 75 days. Yes, that number hurts, but it's true. And every reorder point downstream of it just became honest. Upgrade number 2, add 1 more column, the reason why they missed. 5 words max. Maybe they'll say Chinese New Year backlog, or material shortage, or factory is on time, but the boat was slow. Why? Because after 6 months, that column tells you what kind of problem you have. Different excuse every time. The factory has no control over its own floor. Same excuse every single time. That might be fixable together and in building that relationship with your supplier. And that difference decides everything. Random chaos or a fixable bottleneck. So how often do you look at this? It updates, or it should update when orders happen. So your order cadence, basically. Review the summary once a month. It'll just take you like 2 minutes. Keep the real lead time somewhere where you'll see it when you plan. Because the whole failure mode in this episode exists to kill. It's typing the quote into your planning sheet out of habit. So what does good look like? Benchmarks. What's a good supplier at your stage? 90% on time or better. That's a really good supplier. So you need to hold on to them, feed the volume, and build that relationship. And that reliability is worth really good money. Treat it like an asset. Above 95%, that's rare air at your size. That supplier is a competitive advantage. And definitely, I'm not kidding about that. A supplier you can trust lets you run thinner buffers. Thinner buffers free up cash, and cash funds your growth. And of course, reliability compounds over time. 80 to 90 is definitely workable. But keep your eyes open. Honestly, this is where most suppliers live at this stage. You cover it with the real lead time cushion. You have the data conversation. You watch the trend. Livable as long as it's stable and the misses are small. So how about if it's below 80%? Then that's when you know you have a problem. Not a watch it problem, a structural one. 1 in 5 orders is late. Your safety cushion has to get so fat it freezes serious cash. You're carrying the unreliability on your balance sheet. And below that, or slips of 3-4 weeks regularly, the metric isn't asking you to monitor anymore. And what it's asking you is to decide. 2 asterisks before anyone panics. 1, judge the size of the miss, not just the rate. 90% of time with 2-day misses beats 95% with month-long misses. Always the pair. Number 2, grade the promise and the performance separately. A supplier who quotes 60 days and hits 60 is better than one who quotes 40 and delivers in 55. Even though the second one is technically faster, honest slow beats flatteringly fast every single time because you can plan on honest. What you're really measuring here isn't speed, it's whether their word can hold weight. Yep. And one more thing, before anyone fires supplier off of the back of this episode. Switching suppliers is expensive, slow, and risky. Being a big fish with one decent supplier usually beats being with a minnow with 2. The data's first job isn't to justify leaving, it's the fix. The one you have. Fix or fire is a decision. Decisions deserves numbers. So how about red flags? Warning signs, some on their side, and fair warning, some on yours. Red flag number 1, the trend line bends the wrong way. 1 late delivery is weather. 3 increasingly late deliveries is a direction. 60 days, then 65, then 71. That supplier is telling you something. In the only language that actually doesn't lie. Factories rarely fall off a cliff. They usually drift. Same movie as the Golden Sample episode. Quality drifts, schedules drift. The sheet catches the drift while it's still cheap. And then, of course, we have red flag number 2. The promise moves after the deposit. They quoted 45 to win the order. Your wire clears. A week later, it's actually 60. Once? Yeah, okay, that's fine. That's a hiccup. A pattern of quote then revise means that the quote was never an estimate. It was bait. And every plan you built on it was built on a bait. And then, of course, you have red flag number 3, excuses with no dates attached. Almost ready, shipping soon, small delay. Supplier in control of their floor gives you a new date. A supplier giving you vibes, doesn't currently know when your goods will ship. And that's the real information in that message. Of course, we have red flag number 4, silence until you chase. Scroll your email. Did every status update start with you asking? Then the relationship is upside down. Good suppliers flag delays before you feel them because they know that your planning depends on it. Radio silence isn't rude, it's risk. And then so we have red flag number 5. And this one's yours. Peak season is a surprise every single year. Same supplier, slips every Q4 RAM, slips every post-Chinese New Year window. And it wrecks you every single time. At some point, that stops being their reliability problem and starts being your planning problem. A seasonal slip that's in your sheet is just a longer lead time with a calendar attached. So plan it. Then we have red flag number 6. Also yours, the quiet one. You pull the data and you see the real average is actually 63 days. And you keep typing 45 into a planning sheet. Because the real number makes Q4 look scary and the fake one feels a little bit better. Measuring reality and then planning on fantasy is worse than not measuring at all. At least ignorance was free, right? So, a little bit of a homework. We'll call it the inbox dig. So, look for the last 6 POs. Look for the promised date, the actual date, and then the slip. One afternoon, that's all it's going to take. And then find the one cell that matters. The supplier's real average lead time. If it's within a few days of the quote, genuinely, congratulations. Go ahead and tell them they're good and mean it. If it's not, swap the real number into your reorder points this week before Q4 planning kicks in. And then the PO tracker template, you can get that from us. You can ask us, along with any other documents that's going to help you guys find your supplier lead time. So that's pretty much it for me. We don't want to hold you guys up to a supplier that's going to be promising one thing and then delivering something else. So anytime you guys need to find a better supplier, we're out here to help you guys, and we're currently doing it for a lot of brands, and we can do a little bit of audit for you. Just book a call with us and we'll be more than happy to help with any supply chain issues that you may have. So that's pretty much it for me. We'll be seeing you. Thank you guys.